We talk about perception in your presentation, but I would like to move to the other side of the stage, because a big part of perception is basically being created by what people read and see in the international media. On the other hand, you can say, well, this is perhaps an opportunity. If we play the media well, people think more positive about what happens in Russia and Moscow. Lawrence, can you share with us whether other cities worldwide who have worked on establishing an IFC, whether they had the same issues and how they worked on solving these issues and turn them into an advantage?
Interesting. Thank you, Mark. I thought it was a very interesting presentation by Sergei there. And in fact, one of the last slides was interesting, which were the difference in perceptions between those who are here for business and those who are here for visits. Ultimately, there are obvious parallels between all global or regional financial centres. What they need to do is establish a critical mass of support amongst those who are engaged in doing business and those who are living here. Different communities, but with quite similar needs and requirements. So if we look at two different cities, first of all, I'd like to just say a couple of words about London. London works, if you ask most people that operate there in the financial services industry, because people love living in London. If you look at another type of city, one of the emerging ones, they start from absolute scratch, and what you've got to do there is actually think about creating a critical mass of people who are going to work there across these financial services sectors. So what you do at the beginning is look at the different interests of the different financial services industries. In Dubai, for example, you had to have a look at, why would investment banks come? Why would legal services come? They all have different interests. Investment banks are interested in mergers and acquisitions, IPOs. Asset management companies are interested in growing value for their businesses. They're all specific audiences which work with specific media. So once you go beyond the initial surveys that are being carried out at this moment, you need to address the different audiences and make sure that you create this critical mass which creates a virtual positive cycle. Now, in terms of the support, of course, there's another layer of audience, which is the audience I think Sergei was referring to in terms of the skilled workforce that's required to support the different financial services. Now, in my opinion, those can be organised and supported from the top up, but they also arrive after the critical mass of the financial services industries. If you look at Moscow, for example, there are good, strong international schools, there is good private healthcare, and once you move the critical mass of financial services industry to a city, then the market encourages more schools, more independent schools, better private healthcare to support those industries. So what you have here is real stakeholder engagement, which is very complex in developing markets to drive this critical mass. And one of the things that, if I look at London, for example, there's normally a perception about where the international financial centre is. And strangely enough, in London, there's a competition, even in one city, between City, historical financial centre, and Canary Wharf. I think it's difficult for many people to perceive exactly where Moscow Financial Centre is at this time. And when you address that particular issue, you have to look at the people that influence those decisions. And one of the interesting things in the last survey that I saw was that Moscow is ranked as one of the top 10 competitors to become a global financial centre. But if you look at the number of companies that are willing to open office in Moscow, then they're not in the top 10 at all. And it's an example of influencing that decision, which it turns out in Dubai really depended quite a lot on the decision and the confidence in the potential of that city to become a financial centre. And here they were talking about the big four agencies, the big four, the KPMG, the Pricewaterhouse of this world. So once KPMG, for example, Mark, says you need to open an office in Moscow, that is one push that can happen in different financial services. So when would be the moment, it's a question back to you, when would be the moment when KPMG would say, guys, in insurance, in investment banking, now is the time to open in Moscow? Because we know that over the last few years, investment banks have made different decisions about the timing to enter Moscow. When will the time be right?